I've always been a night owl. Working the closing shift at a local diner meant I rarely got off the clock before midnight. By the time I wiped down the last table, counted the register, and locked the front doors, it was usually pushing 1 a.m. Because of this schedule, my days were completely backwards. My friends were sleeping when I was awake, and the only time I had to myself was in the dead of night. That included my workout routine. There was a cheap 24-hour gym located in an old, run-down strip mall about 15 minutes from my apartment. It was called Iron and Steel Fitness, but the neon sign outside had been broken for years, so it just flashed Iron Ness into the dark parking lot. I actually preferred going at 2 a.m. I have a bit of social anxiety, and the idea of working out in a crowded gym full of people staring at each other always made me uncomfortable. At 2 a.m., I had the entire place to myself. It was my sanctuary, until a Tuesday night in late November. It was pouring rain that night, the kind of torrential downpour that makes it hard to see 10 feet in front of your car. I pulled into the empty parking lot, my headlights illuminating the deep puddles forming on the cracked asphalt. There wasn't a single other car in the lot, just mine. I grabbed my duffel bag, pulled my hood up, and sprinted to the glass front doors. I scanned my electronic key fob. The light blinked green, and the heavy door clicked open. When I stepped inside, the familiar smell of old sweat, cleaning chemicals, and rusted metal hit me. The front desk was completely abandoned, which was normal for this time of night. The night shift manager usually slept in the back office. I walked past the front desk and onto the main gym floor. The overhead fluorescent lights buzzed with a low, annoying hum. I put my noise-canceling headphones on, cranked up my music, and headed straight for the treadmills to warm up. For the first 20 minutes, everything was completely normal. I was entirely in my own zone. But then, I got that feeling. You know the one. That primal, evolutionary instinct that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. The feeling that you are not alone. That eyes are burning into the back of your head. I slowed the treadmill down to a walk and casually glanced at the wall-to-wall mirror in front of me. The mirror reflected the entire gym behind me. And that's when I saw him. Sitting in the darkest, furthest corner of the gym by the broken leg press machine was a man. He hadn't been there when I walked in. I was sure of it. I would have heard the front door chime. He was wearing a filthy, oversized gray hoodie, with the hood pulled far over his face, casting a dark shadow over his features. He wasn't stretching. He wasn't lifting weights. He was just sitting there, perfectly still, and his head was angled directly towards me. I swallowed hard, telling myself to stop being paranoid. It's a 24-hour gym. Weird people come here all the time. He's probably just resting between sets. I turned off the treadmill, grabbed my water bottle, and walked over to the free weights section, deliberately choosing a bench that put my back to a wall. I wanted to see everything in front of me. About 10 minutes into my dumbbell sets, I looked up. The man in the hoodie was no longer in the corner. My eyes darted around the gym. Where did he go? Then I spotted him. He had moved to a bench exactly parallel to mine, about 30 feet away. But here was the terrifying part. He still wasn't working out. He was sitting on the bench, facing me completely, his hands resting on his knees. Even from that distance, under the harsh overhead lights, I could see his mouth. He was smiling. It wasn't a friendly, polite smile. It was an exaggerated, ear-to-ear, psychotic grin that exposed his teeth. He was staring right into my eyes, and he wasn't blinking. Panic started to bubble up in my chest. I didn't finish my set. I just dropped the dumbbells on the floor. I grabbed my towel and power-walked toward the men's locker room at the back of the building. I just wanted to get my bag, get to my car, and lock the doors. I pushed through the heavy wooden door of the locker room. The lights in here were motion censored, and they flickered on one by one as I walked down the narrow aisle of lockers. The silence in the locker room was deafening. I quickly spun the dial on my padlock, threw my towel in my bag, and zipped it up. That's when I heard it. The heavy locker room door creaked open. Someone had walked in. The footsteps were slow, deliberate, and wet. Squeak, squeak, squeak. They were echoing off the tile floor, getting closer to my aisle. I froze. I didn't even breathe. I peeked around the corner of the metal lockers. Standing at the end of my aisle, blocking my only way out, was the man in the hoodie. His clothes were soaking wet, dripping rainwater onto the floor. How could he be wet if he was just inside the gym? Unless he had been waiting outside, watching me before he came in. The smile on his face was even wider now. It looked painful. He slowly raised his right hand. Dangling from his fingers was my electronic key fob, the one I had left sitting on the front desk. In a voice that sounded like grinding gravel, a deep, raspy whisper that echoed in the empty room, he spoke. "You forgot this, Derek." I had never seen this man in my life. I had never spoken to him. I had no idea how he knew my name. Pure adrenaline took over. I didn't think. I just reacted. I charged forward, lowered my shoulder, and slammed my entire body weight into him. He grunted as he slammed against the lockers, dropping my keys. I didn't stop to pick them up. I sprinted out of the locker room, across the gym floor, and burst through the front doors into the freezing rain. I ran to my car, fumbled with my keys, jumped inside, and slammed the locks down. I threw it in reverse and peeled out of the parking lot, dialing 911 on my phone with shaking hands. The police met me at my apartment. When they went to the gym to investigate, they found nothing. The gym was empty. The night manager was still asleep in the back, completely unaware. But the most chilling part? When the police pulled the security camera footage from that night. The cameras had been manually disabled from the outside electrical box, exactly 5 minutes before I arrived. He wasn't just some random weirdo. He had planned it. He was waiting for me. I moved out of that apartment complex a week later, and I never, ever work out at night anymore.